Hello, dear students. Today we are going to get acquainted with the episode from the Day of the Triffids. Open your books at page 107, exercise 1. The picture shows some triffids. What do you know about the book The Day of Triffids?
Triffids appear in a science fiction novel by John Wyndham. They are tall plants with legs that seem intelligent but are aggressive and attack people with their poisonous stings.
Let's listen to find out.
The Day of the Triffids is a science fiction novel written in 1951 by John Wyndham, 1903 to 1969. He was a British author, and this book established him as an important writer and remains his most famous novel. In this book, the Triffids are tall plants with legs that seem intelligent but are aggressive and attack mankind with their poisonous stings. The book has been adapted for TV twice and was also made into a film.
Now let's get acquainted with new words, listen to them and write down in your vocabularies.
Account for, alertness, break in, doubt, enclosure, flamethrower, hack, hedge,
irritably, lane, mist, outhouse, settle down, slashing sting, smack, trap, unharmed,
whip,
wipe, wire.
Now let's listen to and read the text.
The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. I wish, I told Susan irritably, you'd not keep on saying they hear, as if they were animals. They're not. They don't hear. They're just plants. All the same, they do hear somehow, Susan said. Well, anyway, we'll do something about them, I promised. As time went on, the numbers collected along the fence continued to increase in spite of our traps. They didn't try anything or do anything there. They simply settled down, wriggled their roots into the soil, and remained. At a distance, they looked as inactive as any other hedge. But if one doubted their alertness, it was only necessary to take a car down the lane. To do so, you had to battle through such viciously slashing stings that it was necessary to stop the car at the main road and wipe the windscreen clear of poison. Early one morning, Susan came running in to tell us that the things had broken in and were all around the house. The sky outside her bedroom window was grey, but when she went downstairs, she found everything there in complete darkness. She realized that should not be so, and turned on the light. The moment she saw leathery green leaves pressed against the windows, she guessed what had happened. I crossed the bedroom on tiptoe and pulled the window shut sharply. Even as it closed, Sting whipped up from below and smacked against the glass. We looked down on a group of triffids standing 10 or 12 deep against the wall of the house. The flamethrowers were in one of the outhouses. I took no risks when I went to fetch them. In thick clothing and gloves, with a leather helmet and goggles under a wire mask, I hacked my way through the triffids with the largest carving knife I could find. The stings whipped and slapped at the wire mask so frequently that the poison began to come through in a fine spray. It misted the goggles, and the first thing I did in the outhouse was to wash it off my face. I didn't dare use the thrower more than once to clear my way back, for fear of setting the door and window frames on fire, but it moved them enough for me to get back unharmed. 2 more days passed before Susan and I could be sure that we had searched every corner of the enclosure and accounted for the very last of the intruders. 4 months later, they broke in again.
In exercise 2, you are to choose from the sentences the one that best completes each gap. There is one extra sentence. For example, for the first gap, it is better to say H. They are just plants. You are to finish this exercise yourselves.
The Day of the Triffids, John Wyndham. The Day of the Triffids is a 1951 novel by the English science fiction author John Wyndham. It is about a plague of blindness that befalls the entire world, allowing the rise of an aggressive species of plant. Bill Mason is a biologist who made his living working with triffids, tall, venomous, carnivorous plants that can move and communicate. The story begins with Bill Mason in hospital, his eyes bandaged after having been splashed with triffid poison. While he is recovering, there is a green meteor shower. Everyone who watched it went completely blind. After unbandaging his eyes, he wanders through London, which is full of blind people. He meets Gisela Playton, and together they discover a group of sighted survivors led by a man named Beadley, and they decide to join the group. Bill and Gisela are later kidnapped. They are each chained to a blind person to work as their guides. Bill manages to escape from his captors and tries to find Gisela. After some days, he finds her at a country home. They are then joined by a young sighted girl named Susan. Along with other refugees, some of them blind, they attempt to establish a self-sufficient colony. Years pass until they find out another colony has been established on the Isle of Wight. Mason and his followers don't want to leave their own colony, but decide to do so because they feel threatened by the soldiers of a new government. They flee to the Isle of Wight, determined to one day destroy the Triffids and reclaim Earth.
In exercise 3, you are to match the words in bold in the text with their meanings. Let's check. The front part of your foot is tiptoe. Hit sharply, smacked. Invaders, intruders. Violently, viciously. Turned quickly, wriggled. In exercise 4, you are to write the adjectives the author uses to describe the following: stings, sky, darkness, leaves, clothing, helmet, knife, spray. For example, stings are slashing. Look at the second paragraph. You are to finish this exercise yourselves. Exercise 5. You are to read the text again. Imagine you are in a car surrounded by triffids. What can you hear and see? How do you feel? Let's listen to the model.
I can see them all around the car, standing there silently. As the car moves, the leaves seem to cover the car and everything goes dark inside. I see the stings whip up and hear them smack against the windscreen. I feel frightened.